Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We already have a legendary chat. We've got Buckets in the chat. We've got Joe Neuenfeld saying bash it. Of course, he's talking about bashing the like button. Let's see if we like the recap screen. How did we do yesterday? Well, one of our picks was void because Jalen Johnson didn't play in that game. Mikey B goes 1 for 2. We lose our San Jose moneyline play in the NHL, and that one got out of hand early. The Caps absolutely taking care of San Jose, but Buckets hits again. He's hit a few in a row, if not more. So we go 2 and 2. Certainly didn't make you any money. Didn't lose you much money either. Very even day for us. Let's see if we can improve on even. Let's bring in the stars of this show. We've got an exciting morning ahead of us because Mike and Meg, we've got fantasy football today, DFS after this at 11 o'clock, and we're bringing that show back live. So you can watch that show live for the rest of the year. I'm very excited about that. Propstarz, I'm going to go to you first. You've got some NFL plays for this weekend. You excited about this game tonight, though?
Extremely excited, Sia. We've got a gigantic total between two hyper-efficient offenses playing inside a controlled environment. So I'm very excited. I've been very impressed by the Dallas Cowboys. They're playing some great football recently. They're really clicking. Dak third in the MVP voting. He's also become a pretty hefty favorite to win comeback player of the year. I think he's playing tremendous football right now. Cowboys offense is firing on all cylinders. So really looking forward to this matchup. It's a shame a couple of guys, significant injuries on the Detroit side of things, but should be a great football game nonetheless.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people in the chat. I want to give M3 Baller a shout out, Tailored Winnings, Cleveland fan in here, John Romero. Thanks for being in the chat. Larry, Proppy mentioned it. You know, I know you have plays in this Thursday night football game, which we'll get to in a little bit, but how much are you factoring in the injuries, particularly on the Detroit side? Are they overcomable?
Yeah, I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown only played a few snaps, and Jared Goff had a 132 passer rating. He was 20 of 26 for 256 and 2 touchdowns. Not saying that Amon-Ra St. Brown is not a very good, important player, but they do have other weapons. They have running backs they can throw to. Tom Kennedy is a guy that's been there forever and has run those slot routes that Amon-Ra St. Brown, and he did well, caught all 4 of his targets. So I'm high on both offenses tonight. I saw somebody post Cowboys over 24.5. That's the line is 26.5.
Yeah.
You're paying a lot of juice for that. I still like it over. I think this is going to be a great 31-28 type of a game.
It's interesting, and we'll get to picks in just a second. I looked at the 26.5 because that is, you're right, Larry, that is where the Cowboys team total stands. Meg, do you think we're looking at a shootout? We're looking at scoring and yards on both ends here.
I am certainly hoping we're looking at a shootout because this is the last week of, best ball regular season, and then best ball playoffs start next week. And I'm heavily invested in both the Cowboys and Lions. So I liked Larry's score, but I'm hoping like 35-38. That would make me happy. So I certainly hope we get a shootout tonight. I think we will.
And Mike, I trust we have. We'll get to Mike. We're going to get to your pick actually right now. I was going to kind of like ask it for a preview of what you have. I got a good feeling of what it might be. I like this pick. Why don't you go ahead and lead us off, Mike McClure?
Yeah, while it's still available, you can find the Cowboys' first half team total still at 12.5. It's a touchdown and 2 field goals or 2 touchdowns. This number, to me, should be requiring at least a full 14, if not 14.5 here. You look at this Dallas Cowboys offense, they continue to thrive. I have them as the number 1 offense in the NFL right now. And some of that is definitely been a little inflated because their defense has been so poor at times. They've had to really continue to score to keep up. But they've been great in the first half of games, routinely going over this number. It's a dome. It's a controlled environment. They've got everyone healthy on the offensive side of the ball. Detroit, that secondary, extremely beat up, extremely vulnerable in the passing game. Again, touchdown and 2 field goals. You could still catch this at -118. I do not expect it to remain available much longer than this show. I would expect it to be 13.5 pretty much everywhere. Currently 13.5 plus 105 over at BetMGM. I like that at plus 105. I would not play it once it settles in at -110, -115, which is where I expect it to close later this afternoon. So give me this Cowboys offense early. Absolute must-win game. They are playing like a playoff team. They have one path to the playoffs. It is win every game on the schedule. I like the Cowboys early here over 12.5. And again, can't believe we're getting 12.5 here on a game at 54 total indoors, when this is the same price point you're getting on a 47.5 point total generally.
Yeah, I see, Proppy, you're just vigorously kind of nodding your head here. This seems like a pretty great play on the Cowboys. This is nice at 12.5, says Danny Brasco in the chat. Proppy, let's go to you. I don't know if you have any commentary, because you were, again, vigorously nodding your head there on Mike's pick, but you do have some commentary for the Jaguars-Colts game. You actually have two. We're going to get back to Thursday Night Football, but you've got two plays in this Jags-Colts game on Sunday.
A rare total for me that I actually like quite a bit in this Jags-Colts game. Under 47.5 teams. We've got an AFC South divisional showdown. A lot of stakes in this game for both of these teams who are playing good football. Watching this Jags team, I'm really impressed with the defensive side of the football, particularly recently on the season. Their season-long numbers are impressive, but really, if we condense that, looking at them since week 8 or week 10, they've been top 5 in nearly every defensive metric, EPA, success rate. And the pass defense has been absolutely extraordinary. The coverage is just really good in Jags. I don't think they get enough credit for how good of coverage they have right now. So they're facing Daniel Jones, who I think is bottoming out a little bit right now. Daniel Jones got off to that tremendous start. Certainly think he benefits from being in an offense. Credit to him for running the offense well. But we're starting to see the wheels fall off just a little bit, coupled with the fact he's playing injured right now. So I think we combine all those things. He's been a regression candidate facing this Jags defense. I think it's a tough spot for him, which is why I'm also fading his passing yards. We successfully faded him last week against a good pass defense. I think we're going to do the same thing here again, going under 237. Yes, I play this down to 231 or 32, where it is on most books here. So I think this is going to be somewhat of a defensive struggle in this game, but I do think Daniel Jones specifically is going to have a hard time against this Jags defense. So let's go under on his passing line, and I like the game total under as well.
Meg, you're not going to believe what I'm about to say, but you, me, and Mike on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel at 11 o'clock, we're going live again for the rest of the year. I mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but as much as I like Proppy's play on the under 47.5, I'm considering in my DFS lineups, everybody brace yourself. You're going to be shocked by this. I'm considering a 5,400 Trevor Lawrence. I'm not even necessarily going to stack him. I'm considering playing him. So I just have to ask you, because we are going to be talking about our favorite stacks and running backs and wide receivers and all of that and fades. Trevor Lawrence, was he somebody that came up when you did your initial research for the main slate on Sunday?
Well, first of all, I knew where you were going when you said you're not going to believe this. I knew it was Trevor Lawrence, but yeah, I am considering that because I do think for the price, and I actually like Brenton Strange's little preview to our 11 a.m. show. So yeah, I don't even mind maybe a Lawrence Brenton Strange stack.
Mike, am I crazy for considering Trevor Lawrence on the main slate?
Not crazy for considering him. Certainly in contention here. I would say, well, preview of the FFT DFS show. I've got 7 quarterbacks that are all, for me, in terms of my usage, would be within 1% of one another. So it's extremely flat. There's no obvious quarterback choice this week. So if you're looking to play Trevor, to me, it would not be when it's the clear-cut, obvious chalk value. It's when it may not be. And I think there's enough variety this week that it won't be super popular. So I support it. I may not do it myself, but I support it.
Well, before I get to you, Proppy, I will say this. I'm not selecting him because I think he's all of a sudden a great quarterback. I'm saying because of his price and because of the slate, I would be okay playing Trevor Lawrence. With that said, Mike, we're going to talk about all 7 of those quarterbacks on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel at 11 o'clock. Proppy, go ahead.
One component I left out that I wanted to mention just briefly. I mentioned the Jags defense. The Colts defense has been playing very good football recently since they acquired Sauce Gardner, Charvarius Ward coming back as well. They've been very good in coverage. So I think these defenses are peaking right now. And again, like this under quite a bit.
Fair enough. But Sauce probably out for this game, right? We know he had the calf strain tweak. We're not
expected.
Not expected to play. Either way, but it's still a defense that's playing at least decent on the back end. Jake Ferguson first touchdown, says Brent Ritchie. I told everybody to put in the YouTube comments your first touchdown score, but also certainly put it in the chat as well. And speaking of first touchdown scores, get your stake back in cash. If your first touchdown scores second instead, bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win, just like normal. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. A bit of 2 bites at the apple there. BetMGM players will receive an NHL odds boost token as well. Just make an NHL wager, and if it wins, you will receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. How about some SportsLine picks? We're going to go back to the NHL, and we got some more college basketball as well. Tom Casale, I know he was in the SportsLine chat last night talking about this play. UC Davis plus 9.5 at -110. Again, that courtesy of Tom Casale. In the NHL, our sharp guy Jeff Hockman says Calgary money line at plus 112. Those are a couple of SportsLine picks. People asking in the chat as well about golf plays, because we got the Hero World Challenge, which starts at 10:46 in a half an hour. The matchup I gave out yesterday doesn't start until 11:08. So you still have time to play Brian Harmon at plus 100 over Harris English. A couple others that I'm considering, at least one other that I was considering. Let's see, it was Keegan Bradley minus 130 over Jordan Spieth. You all know, if you watch the Monday or Tuesday show, I have Cam Young in the without Scotty Scheffler market at plus 850. Mike, did you allot any time whatsoever to the Hero World Challenge?
A little. I didn't bet anything at it. I did run a full simulation set. For those not super familiar with it, just 20 players in the field. Right. So it's not like a normal tournament at all. I'd be looking and be interested in betting live after the first or second round, but nothing that was immediate in round one or pre-tournament. Just always interesting when you see Scotty Scheffler listed as basically an even money favorite to win a golf tournament. Always incredible to see that. But yeah, nothing pre-tournament for me, potentially live though.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot more Thursday night football to get to, and we're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
Critics agree Landman is a hit.
We roll the dice one last time.
Men die. Oil companies don't.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. So everyone, the Spotify Wrapped stuff came out yesterday. If the Early Edge was among your top 5, your top podcasts, your biggest listens, go ahead and tweet at us so we can retweet that, because our numbers, Ben, you might have noticed if you follow Ben, hopefully you do. Ben, put your handle in case people don't follow you in the chat. But he tweeted out our Early Edge numbers. We've gathered a lot more listeners and subscribers and followers and all those things. So I know people are watching. I want to know who's watching, or I'd love to see who's watching so that we can retweet all of that stuff. And we appreciate everybody listening to this show, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, or of course, watching this show live. Meg, let's get to some more picks. You've got a pick on each side of the ball here. I should say on each team. Talk to me.
All right. Well, first, I'm going to go Jamison Williams over 82.5 yards. I got it at even money. Unless I missed something while I was getting ready, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a game time decision after getting injured on Thanksgiving. So I don't think he'll play. I would imagine they'd give him 10 days off to get fully healthy. If he is active for some reason, I would imagine he'd be very limited. We saw Jamison Williams act as the wide receiver 1 on Thanksgiving with 7 receptions, 144 yards, a touchdown on a 37% target share. I think we're going to get a little bit of that. We're going to get the same thing tonight. Jamison Williams acting as the true wide receiver 1 for the Lions tonight. And he's got a great matchup. Cowboys give up the 4th most receiving yards. He's gone over this line 3 of the last 4 games. And it's just a combination of his role tonight and the matchup and the game environment we talked about at the top of the show. I like this game to live up to its high total, potential back and forth shootout. So give me Jamison Williams over 85.5 receiving yards tonight.
All right. So we've got a pick for Jamison Williams, but we've also, what you love to do, Meg, is dabble in the anytime touchdown market.
I do love to dabble in the anytime touchdown market, and I love getting a plus money bet that feels like it's a good value. Usually CD Lamb, is more, plus 110. We're getting him plus 125 tonight, and I like CD Lamb to find the end zone tonight. The Lions give up the second most touchdowns to receivers. Actually, the Cowboys give up the first. So that's kind of a fun combination for the passing game tonight. But with that said, Lamb is also is second among wide receivers in end zone targets since he returned from injury. He's hit this line 2 of the last 3 games. And it's just really a situation of, again, loving this price for the matchup and hopefully a potential shootout. But again, both the passing games have a great matchup because receivers score the most touchdowns against these two teams. So I love Lamb at plus 125. I've already bet that, but I've also done Lamb, Pickens, Jamison Williams, anytime touchdown parlay for 10-1 because we're getting the best matchup and the second best matchup for receivers to find the end zone.
Let's get to some questions before, Larry, we get to your pick and my pick. Spoiler, I'm taking the Cowboys plus 3 at even money. I'll talk about that in just a second. But Proppy, Jay Long wants to know, like, a couple of names that keep coming up. This all assumes Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be out. I think you're assuming that, Proppy, and to the extent that he plays, I wonder how effective he'd actually be. That ankle injury seemed like a little bit more serious than a 1 week thing. But Jay Long is asking about Tesla over 34.5 receiving yards at minus 135. Now, I know Larry mentioned Tom Kennedy, which sounds like a made-up like football name, right? I'm considering him more than I'm considering Tesla in that 26, 27.5 range. I also would consider his receptions over 2.5, other than the fact that it's like minus 140, minus 150. I do think Kennedy will be a bit of a safety valve, maybe more so than Tesla. But Proppy, Tesla can get down the field pretty easy. Any thoughts on either of these two guys?
I like Tesla quite a bit. I think he's flashed a lot. I think the upside is very high. However, the floor is potentially not a lot. So I think he offers significant upside. I'd consider laddering him. It wouldn't shock me if he has a line 4 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I wouldn't be shocked if he had 1 catch for 11 yards. So wide range of outcomes for Tesla, but he's a guy uber athletic. They traded up for him in the 3rd round from Arkansas. He looks more and more impressive and comfortable every time I see him on the field. So this certainly looks like a matchup where he can benefit as well, some additional looks. So I like Tesla, but again, I think that there's a chance that he's not heavily involved either. So yeah, that would be my choice between the two.
Larry, if you were picking among wide receivers not named Jamison Williams, who would you be leaning on? And then feel free to give out your George Pickens pick.
I'm not sure I'd be leaning on any of the receivers. I think the running backs are going to be heavily involved in the passing game. Not only Jahmyr Gibbs, but David Montgomery. I like David Montgomery to clear his number for receiving, which is very low, 10.5 on certain books. But getting to George Pickens, I mean, the Lions defend tight ends very well, the middle of the field. And then that leaves you Lamb and Pickens, who have great matchups. So where else is the ball going to go? I mean, against man coverage, against single high safety, you can look at the way Pickens and Lamb, they're both way, way up there. I just went with Pickens as my over on receiving yards because what he's done the last 7 games, he's gone over 77.5. In 7 straight, and he's gotten 68 targets in that span. So it's almost 10 targets a game. Now, this number has climbed. I just checked right now. The lowest I'm seeing is 80.5, and that's about as high as I would go with that, 80.5. I got this out a couple of days ago because Pickens has just been on fire. And then he was able to practice fully. He was limited earlier, but he's not even on the injury report. He has no game status. But he's just, to me, on the eye test, he's the better receiver right now. And this is just a dream matchup indoors, desperation spot for the Cowboys. The Lions pretty good against the run. So I see so many targets going to both Lamb and Pickens that unless he's got a case of the drops, he's going over.
You know, I'm wondering about how Detroit, how aggressive they are against the Cowboys. Proppy, can you see a scenario where they play a little less aggressive on the back end and try to almost let Javonte Williams paper cut them to death in the running game? I'm just trying to figure out, because there's some injuries on the back end for Detroit. I'm just trying to figure out how Detroit actually lines up against these receivers that I think could really threaten them downfield.
Yeah, I think it's much easier said than done. when it comes to facing this Dallas offense, particularly right now. If anything, I expect Javonte Williams to have a tough time on the ground versus Detroit.
Yeah.
They do run a ton of plays, Dallas, partially because they're often in catch-up mode, but also because their defense isn't very good, and no lead is safe when you have this Cowboys defense. But, as far as Detroit, I think you have to be aggressive against Dallas. Dallas has proved capable throughout the season that no lead is safe against them. So, this game just projects to be a lot of offensive plays, a lot of volume. So, I think not if anyone's going to struggle, I think it would be Dallas's running game here.
Mike, any thoughts on the game plan here? Because again, I feel like Detroit's going to have some problems covering the receivers here. Katie Taylor kind of agreeing with what I sort of flatly said about Javonte Williams. She says she doesn't hate the Javonte rushing attempt over, which by the way is 16.5 in some places, but at BetMGM is 15.5 at -130 if you wanted the over. Mike, any thoughts on that?
Look, I think that they're going to throw the football to George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. I think that's where it's going to be, regardless of what Detroit wants to do defensively. It's, as Alex said, easier said than done, but the secondary is so beat up for Detroit. And it's just why Dallas is so good is they've got two number one receivers, maybe two of the 10 best receivers in the NFL, maybe two of the top 5 at this point. They are so elite offensively with those receivers. So I don't think that, look, Javonte will get the football and he'll get touches. They may dump a few passes to him, but the focus is going to be those one-on-one individual matchups deep. The only concern I would have with Pickens would be, is he able to catch the deep shot or is he simply just drawing a DPI? Because both of those are going to happen tonight. And that's what I could see. So I don't, I don't want to invest too heavily in Javonte, but as far as the Lions offensive game plan, it's Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson. Like that's basically what it's going to be. Yeah.
I wonder, Meg, if adding rushing and looking at rushing and receiving, I haven't looked at that split, like how many more yards. It'd probably be just a couple more yards. I wonder if they get Jameson involved in the backfield on a play or two as well. Either way, I'm going with we'll get to some more of your questions in a second. I mentioned I'm going with the Cowboys +3. BetMGM has this down to even money. So, I mean, maybe a little bit of money trickling in on Detroit. Detroit is at home. Desperation game for them, kind of for the Cowboys too. At the end of the day, I think this comes down to potentially the last possession. And if that is the case, I don't know why I wouldn't take the +3. And I do see a scenario where Detroit continues to struggle. So it doesn't come down to the last possession. The Cowboys just flat out win this game and are winning for a majority of the game. I love how the Cowboys defense looks. It's not going to look like that every single game. But when you have injuries to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and Sam Laporta, it looks a lot easier to cover the Cowboys. They're still the Lions. They're still dynamic. Don't get me wrong, but I like how this Cowboys defense has shown up. It's not a top 10 defense, but it's actually much better than it was earlier in the year. And when you look at this offense, it's healthy. It's clicking on all cylinders. And speaking of offenses, this Detroit offense also has injuries across their offensive line. We'll see who actually shows up tonight in terms of who's going to play, but there's injuries across the board for Detroit. And when you add that to how good Dallas is playing, I get even money on a +3. I mean, I would play this at -115 as well, but BetMGM offering a great price at +3 at even money. So I'm going to go ahead and take that prop. Go ahead.
Also, I honestly think if the Cowboys can win this game, it's likely going to be because Dak Prescott had a big game. Looking at the rest of the Cowboys schedule, I think it's definitely in play for them to potentially run the table, finish 11-5. They do have a tie. In that scenario, I think Dak will have a very strong case as an MVP, just considering how good he's been recently all season long. The Cowboys defense, the start they've gotten off to, he's really become arguably the most efficient quarterback with a clean pocket. He's no longer the dual threat guy that he previously was, but he is absolutely surgical in the pocket right now, just incredible precision. So that's a look I like a future. If they can win this game, I think Dak has a very realistic chance to win MVP.
We don't talk about Dak Prescott enough. We just don't. Larry, go ahead.
He was 150-1 like 2 weeks ago, and now as low as 10-1 on certain books.
Let's talk about Jahmyr Gibbs over receiving yards. Proppy, you know I'm not going to you on this one, but Meg, you don't mind receiving yards. Danny Brasco is all over the Jahmyr Gibbs over receiving yards. I'm going to double check what it is, but I think it's in that low 30s range. Any thoughts there, Meg?
Well, I got burned on the Chase Brown receiving yards. I gave such a strong case for it the last time I was on. It didn't come to fruition. Gibbs didn't get there last week, which I was really surprised on Thanksgiving after Amon-Ra St. Brown left the game. So I'm a little wary, but I do love the look because I do think they're going to have to get like Larry said, both Gibbs and Montgomery involved in the receiving game. So I do like it, but I have been burned like Proppy the last few times I've attempted to go that route.
Proppy, go ahead and properly shoot Danny Brasco down because this line is 36.5. Maybe you like it, so maybe you won't, but I know you're the guy to ask if we're going on the other side of the coin here.
I would offer them Jahmyr Gibbs is a rare exception because they do design plays for in Detroit. He is an extremely adept receiver. I would utilize him more personally if I'm calling the plays in Detroit. I think he's dynamic out of the backfield. Obviously, he's an excellent rusher, but a very talented receiver as well. I think they would be just a good decision would be to involve him more, considering the injuries to the offense and his ability to line up all over the formation. So he's a rare exception because he is a first read pretty significantly for a running back. So he's a guy that I don't mind taking his receiver.
So Danny Brasco has a defensive prop. Now, Larry, I'm guessing you haven't looked at defensive props too much, but Jack Campbell over 8.5 tackles and assists. He says he's over 8.5 and had exactly 8 in all 4 misses. So any thoughts on Campbell?
I like that. I'll be looking at the corners for the Lions, like at Amik Robertson, because corners have had a tremendously high number of tackles against the Cowboys because of how often they throw the ball to the outside. So I wanted to check his numbers. If there is a 4.5, might want to go over that.
Let's go to first touchdown scores, and then we'll circle back to see if we have any more questions. Because if we're going to be so focused on CeeDee Lamb, who, of course, plays the outside but the slot as well, and George Pickens playing on the outside, I don't know. Maybe Jake Ferguson gets a few more looks and a little bit more pub in this game than we anticipate. He's my first touchdown scorer at plus 1,200. Jahmyr Gibbs, Larry Hartstein, go ahead.
I mean, I'm tired of going with these, dart throws that don't come home. So I just said, you know what? Let's go with Jahmyr Gibbs. The guy has not gone 2 straight weeks without scoring, and he's coming off a week when he didn't score. He has 13 touchdowns. We all know that his role is going to only increase with the status of those injuries for the Detroit Lions targets. So Jahmyr Gibbs, you can't go wrong with Jahmyr Gibbs.
All right. And Mike, I seem to recall you hitting one of these first touchdown scores within the last week or two. You like CeeDee Lamb. So we can cash Meg's ticket and this ticket at the same time.
Yeah, I like CeeDee Lamb, mostly the price point. We understand why the price point is the way it is. Both teams equally likely to score and score quickly. You've got the stud Jahmyr Gibbs on the other side, but at 10-1, I like CeeDee Lamb here. I think that he's still clearly wide receiver 1. I know that we've seen massive performances from George Pickens, and he's really, really close to CeeDee Lamb, but when you still look at targets and reads, he's still looking for CeeDee Lamb often. And I think CeeDee Lamb's the one that will benefit. You'd look at some of the routes that may be run in the red zone while you have opportunities to hit George Pickens there. CeeDee Lamb's going to be running slightly more creative routes that are essentially finding some of the softer spots in the defense, depending on if they go zone in the red zone. So I like this spot for CeeDee Lamb, 10-1. I made the number 8-1 here.
I really like CeeDee Lamb in this game as well. Meg, clearly you do. Proppy, talk to me about Isaac Tesla.
I really like CeeDee Lamb as well. The more I see that price point, looks like a great selection by Meg and Mike. But yeah, Isaac Tesla, just very impressed with what I've seen. He's flashed a bunch. This is a real opportunity for him. I think he could potentially have a big splash performance here. So at 13-1, I will take a shot on the talented rookie receiver.
If you're listening to this show now or after the fact, please put your first touchdown score or scorers. Put a couple in there if you want in the YouTube comments. We'd appreciate that. Meg, just finish the point on CeeDee Lamb.
Sure. Like Mike said, the price feels like you're getting a good value for CeeDee Lamb at 10-1. And, I gave all the reasons why I liked him to find the end zone at plus 125. Again, second among wide receivers in end zone targets since he's returned. And I don't know, something in my gut tells me Dallas scores first. So I like Lamb to find the end zone first here.
All right. I mean, listen, we definitely want Dallas to score first because a lot of things would be in play there, including Mike's first half over 12.5. Lamb longest reception over 25.5, says Big Roddy 401. Anybody have any thoughts there? I lean that way, Propstarz.
I would lean that way as well, just considering I would not feel comfortable playing a single under when it comes to these two Dallas wide receivers right now. They're going to be targeted in this game environment, should see an uptick in volume. So yeah, considering that they're likely both locked in the double-digit targets, the way they're being utilized, Detroit's ability to push them, the home field environment, playing on a fast track. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
So I like Aaron Taylor a lot. Tailored winnings in the chat. This is an egregious comment. And Prop your Mike, I know you are like really leaning into NFL, but I just have to run this by you because I guess the Wizards play the Celtics tonight. And Aaron Taylor says Wizards +9 tonight. I don't have a problem with that part of his statement. He says no Jaylen Brown. Okay. Still, now I still get the Wizards. And then he says the Wizards on fire at home. Proppy, are the Wizards on fire anywhere?
Shout out to my boy, Tailored Winnings. That's a tough one for me. This Washington team has been a dumpster fire, but hey, yeah. Is Alexander Sarr playing?
I would have thought he was, but
he missed the last game? So
okay.
If he's playing, then he's looked a little bit better. Tough to back the Wizards.
In Aaron Taylor's defense, he says he sent an addendum to that comment, and Ben cleverly didn't flag it because he apparently has a problem with Aaron Taylor. But I get the play. I'm kidding, of course. Mike, I don't know how much you're looking in NBA. Did you look at that game at all?
I have admittedly not run the NBA numbers yet today. I do know it is the Wizards' third game in 4 days. And you talk about the Celtics. Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing I could probably get it run by the end of the show, but I don't have any real desire to go back the Wizards at this point. Not on Thursday Night Football.
M3 Baller says he meant dumpster fire as opposed to fire. That's pretty funny. Oh, we love Aaron Taylor.
Shout out to the great Chris Middleton.
And yeah, there you go. Aaron Taylor's really sharp. If you're in the SportsLine Discord, you already know that Aaron Taylor. So many people in our Discord, just day to day. I'm thinking of Jen, Katie Taylor, across all the channels. There's more. I'm sorry, I can't rep everybody here, but there's so many people in all of our chats, all the different channels. If you're a member of SportsLine, make sure you get over to the SportsLine Discord. And for some reason, if you're not a member of SportsLine, go to sportsline.com/join. And if you type in the promo code winners, you get 60% off the annual plan. That gives you everything SportsLine has to offer. Again, winners at sportsline.com/join. And it gives you, if you type in winners, you get 60% off the annual plan. And it gives you the Discord, of course. That's part of the package. All right, Larry, did we miss anything in the chat before we get to the recap screen?
I do not believe so.
And Meg, it sounds like I missed something for you.
I just have to shout out, I believe it was Beach Bum in chat said, nobody beats the Wiz. It's a very subtle Seinfeld line from the last season. I know you'd appreciate that, Sia. So I appreciate a very subtle, Seinfeld or Friends, my favorite shows. So I appreciate that. Made me smile, and good subtle Seinfeld line. Had to give a shout out to that.
Shout out to Beach Bum. I feel like Nobody Beats the Wiz is also a look, because you're from the Northern Virginia area, Meg. I feel like back in the day, that was a brand, like a local commercial. Nobody Beats the Wiz. Maybe it wasn't local, but I feel like that was a catchphrase on a commercial, 20, 30 years ago. Also in the YouTube comments, put the best or your favorite Wizard or Bullet of all time. Let's play that game, because nobody talks about the Wizards or the Bullets. I would go with Gilbert Arenas myself. Does anybody hand up before we get to the recap screen? Proppy, go ahead.
Loved Chris Webber back in the day. Rasheed Wallace was also briefly a member of the Bullets, so that would be my choice.
Yeah, those are good choices. Meg, do you have a favorite Bullet or Wizard?
Not really about, NBA was the least of my Washington fandom, but I'll say John Wall, I got excited when they drafted him. So for when they drafted him, I got really excited.
That was extremely exciting. Michael Jordan, says Ben. I get that makes sense. Go ahead, Proppy.
I just wanted to say that was a golden era of basketball.
Which era?
A golden era, back when the Bullets were around.
Oh, fair enough. Mike, do you have a favorite Bullet or Wizard?
Yeah, I mean, it's I'll go Gilbert Arenas with you. There's a couple. I mean, I like the John Wall call. Kwame Brown in the chat.
I was just going to say Kwame Brown. It has to
Larry
be Kwame
Hughes,
Brown.
Larry Hughes, Antoine Jameson. Yeah. They were a good trio.
Juwan Howard. Duckworth, if we want to go old school. Rod Strickland, I believe, played for the Wiz for a little. Larry, you want to close us out here on a favorite Bullet?
I thought Kwame Brown, but Larry Hughes is a good call from my hometown as well, St. Louis.
All right. Earl Monroe. Okay, we're going old school. Richard Pierre is going old school with Earl Monroe. Wes Unseld, also old school. Javaris Crittenden. Isn't he the one who had the issue with
Gilbert? Yeah.
Yeah. Marcin Gortat is a really good one as well. I put these in the YouTube chat as well because I want to go back and check these out. Let's go to the recap screen and get everybody out of here. You still have time to play this Brian Harmon even money play over Harris English. It's a Hero World round 1 2-ball. This one starts in exactly 30 minutes at 11:08. Cowboys +3 is also a play of mine. This one also even. Both of these plays, by the way, are even money at +100. Larry Hartstein has George Pickens over 77.5 receiving yards at -114. I will mention, and the chat mentioned, we also kind of like CeeDee Lamb. I know that sounds chalky. So does my pick, Cowboys +3. I feel like a lot of the public is on this one as well, but I still like it. Cowboys first half team total over 12.5, -118, says Mike McClure. Daniel Jones, we're moving to Sunday. Daniel Jones under 237.5 passing yards, -115, says Propstarz. And he also likes the under in that very game, 47.5 at -105. Again, Jags, Colts under 47.5. Jamison Williams over 82.5 receiving yards at even money. And CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown at +125, says Meg Shoup. Let's go to SportsLine picks. UC Davis +9.5 at -110. That's from Tom Casale. And Calgary money line +112. That one courtesy of Jeff Hockman. Let's go to first touchdown scores as well. Jake Ferguson, Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, Isaac Tesla, and CeeDee Lamb again. That's Meg and Mike on CD. Larry, go ahead.
I just hope for the sake of Mike's first half bet that if Barrington Aubrey gets a chance, he actually goes up and strikes the ball, and not just the turf.
Oh, you know what? That's actually a good place to close. I got to get Mike's reaction to that. And by the way, Brad Moore says George Murison. That is an excellent answer. I'll throw out Manute Bol as well. And JaVale McGee, speaking of tall guys, says Ben Wittenstein, Elvin Hayes from Eric David. These are great answers. Mike, when Younghoe Koo kicked to the ground, and honestly, not trying to be hyperbolic, I've literally never seen that before. I know later he explained that he thought the ball was bobbled a little bit, and so he didn't feel comfortable kicking it, which I think is a pretty poor excuse. You should probably just kick through the ball, see what happens. Mike, your reaction to that, because everything kind of went wrong for a recap screen in that moment. If you recall the play before that, Theo Johnson had a ball in the end zone. So not only would Brasco cash his yardage prop, most likely because Theo catches that, but obviously it cashes your bet as well. And it helps the Giants +7. Like everything just sort of combined in that moment to almost like feel like it was all against us. Your reaction to that field goal?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was a situation that felt like we were not supposed to cash that ticket.
Yeah.
There were all the opportunities in the world for it. All I could say and all I could think of was I saw that scene play out in a similar way in a film called The Little Giants at one point in my life. And Proppy reminded me of that on Twitter very shortly after that. But yeah, one that I will never forget. Only a New York sports team could find ways to have things like that play out. The best part is it wasn't even a missed field goal because he didn't attempt it. He didn't touch the football. It doesn't go down as a field goal attempt. So just a sack, just absolutely incredible to see something like that happen as a professional field goal kicker in the NFL.
Danny Brasco. Go ahead, Larry.
No, in the box score, it looked like the holder had like a pass attempt or something.
Yeah.
After that.
Danny Brasco says the universe didn't want us to have that money. Yeah, I mean, that was just the confluence of events that happened in that 1 or 2 play stretch was ridiculous. Duff Wild, shout out to Ben. He says, Nets first quarter cashed last night. You should have made that an official play, Ben. That's twice his system play. I guess that's the grocery play has cashed. So shout out to Ben for dropping some knowledge there. And Ryan Kofter says, anybody but Kwame Brown. Bernard King is a great call out. Ryan Kofter says Bernard King. That is a really, really good one. All right. We got to go because Meg, you, me, and Mike, we're going to be on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel in exactly 19 minutes to talk about the 11-game Week 14 main slate. Yeah, we're already at Week 14, and we've got a lot of energy, and we've got a lot to talk about. So make sure you join us because we don't only talk DFS, we also pepper in some of the prop lines and things of that nature to maybe give you an idea of where you should go on that end too. Meg, Mike, I'm very excited for that. Again, that's on the Fantasy Football Today YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on Spotify and or Apple. And if you got Early Edge or Fantasy Football Today, DFS, or any of our stuff in your top 5 on Spotify, let us know about it. Richard Pierce says, don't forget to bash. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you, Proppy. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Meg, Mike, and of course, Ben on the 1s and 2s, 3s and 4s buckets in the chat. Danny Brasco in the chat. Andrew Stanek, Chris Kish, Richard Pierre, Steve Folkerts, Daniel Hernandez. So many. Brad Morris. I wish I could say every single person's name because we appreciate every single one of you. We'll see you next time on the Early Edge. We rest our case.